Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's Power Boost. So our topic today is make a name for yourself. Make a name for yourself. And usually when that is used with reference to someone who has made a name for himself or herself, they're not really referring to the name that they already carry, but they're referring to something that they have accomplished or something that has made them very well known. So it could mean that they are now famous or infamous. And so it would be for anyone who has done something worthy of praise or even worthy of condemnation to be referred to as that particular incident or situation is usually referred to as making a name for oneself. So it could be a bad name or a good name. Now, the names that we carry, as I'm sure you've heard us remind you often enough, is the name for the body that you can be recognized as distinct from someone else. Unfortunately, because we identify with it, we lose sight or sense of who we are. And this is why when people ask the question, who are you? You tell them your name. Interestingly enough, the same question, or rather, the same answer is given for a different question when asked in Spanish, because when someone says, as they would ask, ¿Cómo se llama? They're asking, what are you called? The answer given is the same, meaning one gives their name. And so one of the ways that we can distinguish ourselves is not by what we do, but who we are. And so the essential you or some specific quality about you gets to be made manifest in the world such that when you show up, that particular quality is associated with you. And that is what we want to encourage you to do more and more. And you will discover how empowering that is. It would be your power boost. And it's a power boost that you would experience all the time once you cultivate and emerge that specific quality, that specific way of being that would have you make a name for yourself, separate from the name that you have been given that allows you to be recognized. So, what you're recognized by in this instance is not what you look like. You are recognized, but you're recognized by how you are, how you're being, how you show up. So, for example, if you are always on time, then you would be considered to be punctual. If you are always someone that keeps their word and does what they say, you would be considered reliable. If you are someone that is very, very attentive and can be given responsibility because of that attentiveness, then you would be considered responsible. And so what we're talking about today and what we are going to do together is to look within and see what name you want to make for yourself. So when you look within, as I am inviting you to do now, dispense with what might be negative, because more often than not, that is what might come to mind. And so as you look now, who do you see? Who do you see? What is that special quality by which you would want to be known, that from today you can work to emerge and to develop? And it's natural. It may even be something that you were aware of, but for whatever reason, you were not putting it on display, if I could use that word. And so if whenever you showed up, you were smiling, then you would be considered friendly. If whenever you showed up, you didn't mind waiting, you would be considered patient. If whenever you showed up, you made yourself available and helpful to others, you would be considered compassionate. You would be considered someone who is always, always willing. And so that's the name that you could make for yourself. There are people in the world that you know of. Once their names are said, they've made a name for themselves by what they do, which is just as well. Only sometimes it's not something that they're admired for. So you've heard of Mother Teresa, and when her name comes up, all of the wonderful things that she stood for comes up, as opposed to maybe Bonnie and Clyde, which you may have heard of. And what we're talking about today, as I said earlier, is who do you want to be? How do you want to be? So the invitation today is to make a good name for yourself, separate and apart from the name you carry. And so what shines through is this special quality. And so what you become for others, but more importantly, for yourself, all of these lessons that we come together each day and leave with you. You are the first beneficiary. And so today is that opportunity to do that. And you don't have to go too far or look too far for the opportunity to do so, because you're interacting with fellow beings everywhere. And, as I'm sure you've heard, it is the thought that counts. So this begins within, and it's an opportunity for you to think of yourselves in that very special light, in that very noble light, in that very beautiful light, which we all have, which we can all share. And as you continue on from this moment, whatever you may have decided on about who you want to be, usually the first thing that came to mind might be the right one. And so you want to cultivate that every day, all day, and in every situation. And make that special name for yourself, such that you represent the change that you want in the world around you. And you will be not only empowered, but also amazed at the transformation that will take place in all of your relationships and connections. Sometimes we think that it's harder to be, or rather, it's much easier to be like the person who you may have encountered that somehow was very off-putting. And our default condition is to respond in the same way and respond in kind, rather than to take a deep breath and bring out your best self. So once you begin this practice and you have decided on who you are going to be, what name will show up, who you will be thought of as a result of this practice and this exercise, you'll find that it translates into good relations and also the kind of well-being that you want to experience and enjoy, and for others to experience and enjoy. And so stay with that special quality, that special name that you will have as you begin this practice and as you make that manifest in your world and in our world.